Hare Krishna. Today, my service is to read Canto 1, Chapter 18, verses 38 to 40. And the title of the discussion is How to Use Our Powers Wisely. So before starting, I will say prayers to our Parampara and Acharyas. Om Agyanyaatimirindasya Gyananjanaya Shalakya Chakshut Almitam Yena Tasmai Shuri Gurve Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadatki Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Sabdutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Kapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrusya cha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitatanam Pavanbhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauram Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. I'll read text 38. Tato bhayatra ashramam balo gale sarpa kale varam pitaram vikshya dukharto mukta kanto rurotraha. Translation. Thereafter, when the boy returned to the hermitage, he saw a snake on his father's shoulder, and out of his grief, he cried very loudly. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The boy was not happy because he committed a great mistake, and he wanted to be relieved of the burden on his heart by crying. So after entering the hermitage and seeing his father in that condition, he cried loudly so that he might be relieved, but it was too late. The father regretted the whole incident. Text 39. Sava angri raso brahman srutva tuta vilapananam anmilya sankirnetre dristva chamse mrito kargam. Translation. O Brahmanas, the Rishi who was born in the family of Angira Muni, hearing his son crying, gradually opened his eyes and saw the dead snake around his neck. There is no purport, so I'll read text 40. Visrajya tamcha paparacha vassa kasmadhirodishi kenavate paktatram Idi ukta sa nvetdvayat. Translation. He threw the dead snake aside and asked his son why he was crying, whether anyone had done him any harm. On hearing this, the son explained to him what had happened. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The father did not take the dead snake on his neck very seriously. He simply threw it away. Actually, there was nothing seriously wrong in Maharaj Parikshit's act. But the foolish son took it very seriously, and being influenced by Kali, he cursed the king and thus ended a chapter of happy history. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I seek the blessings of senior acharyas, senior devotees to say a few words and my realizations on these texts. And so this is a continuation where Shringi came back and saw the dead snake on his father. He already knew that he has done a grave mistake, and he started crying. So the heart is heavy. So whenever one does a grave mistake, the heart cries out, and so we know that we have done a great mistake, because that was not the right thing to do. So as a healing process, he started crying, and he started crying, thinking now he was he had done some mistake, cursing a great king like Maharaj Parikshit, but also B, he thought maybe with this sound, his father, he was looking for the shelter of his father now, Shamika Rishi, who was a great devotee. And he thought maybe his father would give him some shelter and some words of wisdom. So he started crying. And what did Shamika Rishi do? He was completely absorbed in the complete trance. So, and he didn't think of anything of the dead snake. He didn't even think that somebody might have put it on his neck, and he didn't even think that it was a botheration at all. So that is a sign of pure trance, that when that happens, then we don't think of anything material, whether it is honor or dishonor, whether it is praise or criticism, whether it is heat or cold, whether it is comfort or discomfort. In that trance, we the pure devotees don't think of those things as anything insignificant. But whereas when the absorption is less, then those material things little bit become more prevalent. So that was the sign of his trance. But then Shamika Rishi didn't think of anything, but the young boy who had newfound powers, he had achieved a Brahma Tejas, and there was some element of show off that if somebody does anything wrong, then he can use that powers to curse somebody. So he had that power. And of course he was a trained Brahmana. But because he misused his power, he didn't see the other flip side of the power, is that when the power is there is also a power to forgive. And there is also a power to seek advice from his father, who was a very realized soul. So even if it was a perceived insult, he could have taken the shelter of his father, asked him some questions, and asked for advice what to do next, because he was completely inexperienced and he had not leveraged the power to forgive. So, what we can learn here is that the show off and the misuse of power, or using the power without thinking through the second, third, fourth level implications is counterproductive. So we have all this power, and if we don't know how to use it wisely, then that power can actually not only cause great harm in the society, but it also can crush us under its own weight. So, so as we read these shlokas, I always think of, I got this service. So what I can personally learn from these shlokas, what is the lesson here? And before we go there in those lessons, also like to draw out that in this, by the act of Shringi cursing a great king like Maharaj Parikshit, that's where the misuse, first of all, Maharaj Parikshit had held Kali at bay. So Kali was not allowed to come to his kingdom except very fallen places. But now, by cursing Maharaj Parikshit, there was the end of the happy society, where not only Kali infiltrated this world, because Maharaj Parikshit was going to leave this body in 7 days, but also that's where the first and original misuse of Brahman's power started. So that's where the Varnashram Dharam started to degrade, and the Brahmanas started to misuse their power, and that converted those 4 systems where Brahmanas thought that they were the most superior of all dharmas and castes, and that's where the exploitation of other classes happened as well. So that was the start with the curse of Maharaj Parikshit. So that's where the downfall started. Kali entered, and then the misuse of the Brahmanas' power started. But then the key reflection is Shringi had all this power. He also knew there is a power of forgiveness, but he didn't choose to use it. He just chose to use the Brahma Teja and curse Maharaj Parikshit. He also had the power to ask questions, ask for advice from his father, who was, of course, in the trance at that time. But he didn't have that wisdom that sometimes when we have more wiser people around us, our spiritual masters, our bona fide senior people, whether they're parents, whether they're uncles or aunts or even friends, sometimes when we have all this power, we can seek shelter and seek advice how to use it in a particular situation rather than react in the moment. So I was reflecting on how many powers I have. So I was making notes, how many powers we've been given. So I basically, and actually it's endless. And but I made a list of 12 powers that are very apparent. And as I was preparing for this discussion, I thought, okay, let me also think about all the powers I've been given. And am I using them wisely to please the Lord? Or am I using it in an inappropriate way? So it gave me personally very good reflections. And so I would like to just list those powers. So first of all, we have to remember all these powers that we have are actually, we have been able to withdraw from Krishna. Krishna is the reservoir of all powers and energies. So based on our past karmas, we've been able to take some of the powers based on our desires and our karmas, some of the powers. So the example I will give is Krishna is known for the unlimited reservoir of 6 opulences, which are the strength, unlimited fame, unlimited wealth, unlimited knowledge, unlimited beauty, and unlimited renunciation or independence. So Krishna has these unlimited potencies, and whatever potencies we have, we've been able to, they are gifted to us. And I will like to dwell on some of these powers that we've been given. And then there were other subtle powers that we have. So I listed other 6. The power of our attention, but where we choose to put our attention in every moment. The power of our thoughts, power of our words, power of our actions and talents, power to forgive, and power to love. So those are the other 6 powers. And so the first step is just taking a stock of what powers we have. And there are, I could have made a more extensive list, but in interest of time, I chose to focus on these 12. So as we think about how to use our powers wisely, first thing is to take stock of what powers we've been given, and they are on loan, and that basically decides how we choose to interact with the material nature during our limited time we have been given on this planet, in this body. So how do we make use of those powers is, the first is to remember it is on loan. It's not ours. And second thing is, and maybe only attention is the one that is our independently, but the rest of it is all on loan. And so have that humility to acknowledge these powers are on loan and they are not ours. So every moment we have to use them wisely. So that humility and gratitude is there. And know that everyone has access to these powers. And so when I use them, we want to use them with the right consciousness. And if we are not sure, we can ask our spiritual master, our friends, our bona fide elders, and so forth. So I will just expand on the power of strength. So as we have seen in the Mahabharata, the Bhima and Arjuna and all the Pandavas had great strength, and so did the Kauravas. And so ultimately, the strength is to be used to help the oppressed, to help the powerless, and to bring the downtrodden up to a level where those people that are in the power, they have the power of the strength, can bring the justice to those who are not as fortunate. So the strength is to be used to protect people who don't have strength, to actually protect the injustice in the world. And that we have seen how Krishna empowered great warriors like Arjuna and Bhima and Yudhishthira to overcome the evil in this world. Then it comes the power of fame. So we have seen even the fame is granted to the famous people by whatever means, whether it is, I'll use this present example. We have the royal family in the UK, and like everyone has imperfections. I won't go there, but royal family is doing a lot of social causes using their fame to help the poor in Africa, to end AIDS in Africa, to end child labor. And there are some Hollywood stars beautiful souls like Angelina Jolie are adopting people, adopting orphans from Africa. And so they're trying to reduce the poverty there. Now, our Krishna consciousness tells us that, yes, we should help people in Krishna consciousness, but by solving those immediate problems, is Krishna getting pleased? I would say yes, they're getting pleased, because then if the basic necessities of life are met, then people can have the chance to progress spiritually. So the power of fame should not be used for sense gratification. Power of fame should not be used to fan the greed. The power of the fame should be used to help the less fortunate. And then there is a great power of wealth. We know that we actually live in this world of economic development. So, and we know that wealth has great power. It's a great energy of the Lord. And so and we know that wealth can be used to build temples, which we are doing in ISKCON Naperville, and setting a great example. So many devotees are putting their energies and power into that. But then wealth can also be used for charity. And in a very everyday example, we have seen some of the wealthiest billionaires today, whether they are the CEO of Amazon or Tesla or Virgin Atlantic. They are using a lot of non-renewable single-use energies to go to space and have promote safe space tourism. And I was thinking, they've accumulated all this wealth. The single-use energies, non-renewable, can be actually used to plant forest in the Amazon, can be used to feed the hungry in very poor places. It can be used to irrigate the lands there so people can grow their own food. But they're choosing to promote space tourism and even put people on Mars. And so that is, Prabhupada tells us that is such a waste of effort and time and energy. And so we are extracting, think about going to space and going to Mars, how much, even if it is going to Mars is nuclear powered, but even that have limited resources. But going to space has so much of fossil fuels burnt that they never come back, and that is actually going to cause even more climate change and global warming. And very recently, the royal family of the UK actually called out these billionaires why they are using this space tourism and not helping the poor. So, so that we can see in our life how the power of wealth can be misused to feed or fan the false ego. I did this space tourism, or it can be used to feed the hungry and reduce the impact of the climate change. Then there is a power of the beauty. So as I was reflecting that, first of all, nobody can take credit for their beauty because it was handed out to them. But then no material beauty should be used for anything. So the real beauty is, and of course we have seen today, beauty is used to advertise certain brands, and that is basically to feed the false greed of wealthy few, to propagate economic development and withdraw more resources from Mother Earth. So the beauty should never be used to show off on anything, but the real beauty is the beauty of the soul, beauty of our heart, the beauty of the character. And so that beauty, if somebody has a strong character, that's a real beauty. That can be used to propagate stronger character in others. And I also want to come back to the beauty of the fame. The beauty of the fame, the power of the fame. The power of the fame can also be likened to the power of the title or position. So people who are in a position of power, whether it is in the job or in the business or in the politics, their role is actually to become the greatest servant as a servant leader, and empower the people who are not in the powerful position to bring their best self, bring their most authentic self. So the power of the leader and title is really how great of a servant that is, not how great of a leader that is. And then we'll come to the power of renunciation, which not everybody can understand, but really this is the power of independence from the material energy, which is a great sense of mind control to be not attracted to the material energy. And so the power of independence or renunciation is actually displayed very well by the monks, who treat the whole world as their family, who basically help out people who have mental health issues, they are having difficult situations. So the power of renunciation is actually used by monks in our parampara in so many beautiful ways to bring up the people who are mentally challenged, who have mental issues, who are actually seeking for peace and shelter. And then we'll talk about the power of attention. This is one of the favorite verses from Visheshka Prabhu, is where attention goes, energy flows. So this is actually one power that is very much independent to us, and Krishna has given us that power of wherever we want to put our attention. So and our literatures tell us how we should use our attention very wisely, because actually our attention sets our destiny. So we know that, and so whether we pick up our iPhone to basically learn something spiritual, but we have to be very careful. Very soon another advertisement doesn't distract us, and so we are very intentional about what we get out of that power of attention, because the distractions are all around us. So using our attention very carefully and mindfully and wisely. The power of our thoughts, and thoughts are powerful. They're subtle, but they are foundational, because those thoughts that human beings are endowed with have great power. Thoughts, when we take a vow in our mind, that is like a wedge to make a change. Just like how do we cut a very thick log? We first create a wedge, and then we take one hit, and that is how the power of the vow is. The power of our thoughts is, because then from attention, our thoughts, they are interlinked. The power of our power, we sometimes, or I have forgotten so many times, the power of the words. Words matter. Words are powerful. I remember so many times in my own life, words, the impressions that were created by a very wise elder, they changed my life. I still hold those words very near and dear to my heart. And similarly, the words we speak have impressions on others, on the children we speak, because they have put 100% trust in us. So when we speak to children, when we speak to others, those impressions are going to carry for the rest of their life. And similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, we learn that the words that we speak should be non-violent, should be truthful, should be beneficial, should be relevant, and should be pleasing. And so we need to be very careful about the power of our words as well. And then also, there should not be any positive toxicity. Not only we should be careful about negativity, but also we should be careful about positive toxicity. And we should not give out empty praises to anyone. We should be sincerely giving out praises, sincerely appreciate somebody's good qualities, and share openly each other's heart. And words have great vibrations, and then the power of our actions. And we sometimes don't realize how many. We just take stock of how many talents we've been given, and the example I think of is the Sindhu Tai, who I'm sure most of the devotees have heard her story, that she was basically abused by her husband at a very young age, and she was pregnant. And then she basically wanted to commit suicide, but then she was saved, and then she was just contemplating on a broken branch of a tree that was giving shade to her. And even though she was broken, and then she said, okay, I still have the power to change the world with my actions. And she adopted so many orphans in India, and she got the prize. So if you think about her power, how much change she was able to initiate, because that was her talent and calling, is to basically become a mother to those orphans who didn't have a mother. Similarly, we are so much fortunate that we have so much power with our actions to make a change and to help others. And so that power is to be used very wisely. And if we are not sure, we can always ask others who are sincere on this path what powers they see, and before doing anything, we can always seek shelter and blessings from our seniors who are wiser than us, or how we perceive them wiser, and get somebody's perspective. Hey, I am thinking of doing this thing, and get the perspective how we use that power and talent very wisely. Because even our talent and power has a time limit. It's not unlimited. There will come a time when the time will, in the wheel of time will, all those powers will diminish and they will be taken away. They're not going to stay forever. So understanding that is critical. And actually, I didn't talk about the power of the knowledge as well. So when we talk about our talents, we can always, in addition to devotees are already doing so much work in sharing the knowledge of spiritual wisdom, but also we can share the talents we have in helping somebody otherwise as well, whether we have the talent for music, whether we have talent for doing something good. And I greatly appreciate one thing that technology has brought up is YouTube, where the power of the knowledge is shared very wisely and freely, and people are able to improve their lives and save time, so they can progress spiritually well. And then lastly, those last two powers is the power of forgiveness, and this is what Shringi had, and everyone has the power of forgiveness internally. And sometimes we don't realize that that is actually a very great power, that we don't even need anyone's permission to forgive anyone. And the forgiveness is that basically is to be differentiated from condoning. If somebody did actually grossly wrong or violated us, I've said that in last Sunday as well. But power of forgiveness really means that we basically free ourselves from the burden of that act. And so we are not going to that act weigh us down. So the power of forgiveness is always there with us. And in our past millions of births, I'm sure I have done so many sins, and I need forgiveness. And the only way I can be forgiven is that if I choose to forgive others. And that is where Shringi didn't remember. So there is a great power in forgiveness that is so pleasing to the Lord. And then power to love. That is inherently, the soul is Sakchit Ananda. So it is eternal, it's conscious, and is full of bliss. And so we can choose to love. That is all within us, and distribute it freely. Even and love, sometimes opposite of love is judgment. It's not hatred, because hatred is a symptom of judgment. So we can actually, without judgment, have the power to love all living beings, not just human beings, but all life. We can honor and spread that power of love and power of. So when Radha Maharaj used to live in jungles, it was honoring other living beings, not be fearful of them, not be feeling superior to them. And I've seen so many times when I'm in the wilderness, there are different insects, different life, and whenever we choose to respect them, honor them, they don't bother us, whether it's wildlife or a small life. So we can actually not only honor them, but also love them. As that doesn't mean we should go and hug a tiger, but we can definitely be respectful to a tiger from a distance. So these are the 12 powers, and we have so many. I could have gone on. This was a very enlightening for me as well, that when I started to write down that when I took stock of the powers I've been given, am I using them wisely? And the answer was no, I was not using them wisely. So understanding those powers and making a contemplating just is a great verse to contemplate how we can use that wisely. So I will just recap all the powers that I described, the 6 opulences: the power of the strength, power of the fame, power of the wealth, power of the knowledge, power of the beauty. In this case, is the inner beauty, not the external beauty. External beauty should never be used to, never be used to do anything. Power of independence and renunciation, power of attention, power of thoughts, power of words, power of our actions and talents, power to forgive, and power to love. So with that, I will pause here and invite thoughts and reflections from devotees. Any corrections? I like to apologize if I said anything wrong, but interested to see what the audience thinks.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, thanks for the wonderful lecture, Prabhu. Just one, I just need one suggestion. You're talking about charitable donations, right? So basically, if they're doing like a food drive at my work, right? Or they match contributions from employees like 3 times per. Obviously, the food that is being distributed is non-vegetarian, right? With garlic, onion, or so. How should I just anyone like they collect for kids, right? The trivia night and some things like that. So should I just refrain from such donations? What is your suggestion? It's a good cause, but then the catch is the food that's being distributed is not prasadam, and it's obviously all more than 99% going to be non-vegetarian in the US. So just need your thoughts, Prabhu.
Yeah. So Prabhuji, I will share my thoughts definitely. Thank you for asking that question in the, real day life. I have one question, Prabhuji. Do they only asking for Lakshmi, or do they accept any packaged food like flour, rice, or beans? Do they accept that as well, or they're just looking for money?
So yeah, I mean, in case of packaged canned foods, obviously I can give beans, and we can choose, right? Like bean, all the canned goods, but sometimes it can be both, right? It can be both. So one drive can be just canned food drive. One drive is like just getting financial donations, which the company will match, and that kind of thing. And as you know, there's a lot of hunger out there, post COVID. So just want your suggestions whether I should stay away from that, or in case the financial donation is sought after.
Yeah. So I can share, Prabhuji, what I will do if I was in that situation. So if what I will do, and then you can decide what works for you, because how I will respond may be different, may or may not be the same as how somebody else might respond. So I would say I'm actually I don't bring up religion at work, because sometimes people can become defensive, but I just say that my value system. So first of all, I will first start by bringing the canned beans, the other canned food, or even a bag of flour, or a bag of rice, or even bread, whatever packaged food there can be. I will just take it to work and take a carton and say, this is my contribution to this tribe. And we can just say, if they ask for money, you can just say, hey, I already contributed with these things. And the reason I did that is that my value system, I don't say religion, but say my value system doesn't allow me to purchase the meat and other stuff. And people respect. What I've seen is people respect that when we are upfront with them. That hey, he spoke up, just like Muslims would not donate to a party that have alcohol in it. They refuse to drive trucks that carry alcohol, or they refuse to serve or do jobs that make alcohol. Similarly, we can say, I will just say my value system doesn't allow me to contribute to meat and stuff, but I will definitely this is my alternative contribution, and this is all packaged food I'll bring and contribute. And it may, it will result in company not matching the things I brought, which is okay. There's so many other people who are contributing, and company will match anyway. So that's how I would respond, Prabhuji. I don't know if what are your thoughts are in that situation.
No problem. Thank you. I got the thought process, bro.
Yeah. And I am just very upfront, rather than coming across, I'm not contributing with money. I will just say, my value system doesn't allow me to do that. So, but that doesn't mean I don't want to contribute. I'm contributing in a different way. But thank you for asking a very everyday situation, a dilemma in the real world, everyday world. Thank you, Jant Prabhuji, for asking that.
Thanks for your suggestion, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other thoughts on how to use our powers wisely? If not, we can end the class then. Thank you for joining. Like I said, if I said anything wrong, I seek forgiveness. Panchakalpatrusya cha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's nice class, thoughtful class. Thanks.